What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my second ever movie review. Today I'm going to be reviewing a movie which I think is just so underrated and deserves much more appreciation, and it's called Train to Busan. A friend of mine actually recommended it to me a while ago, and I was like, sure, I'll watch it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow came by and I didn't watch it. Then I said I'll watch it next week. Well, that came by and guess what? I still didn't watch it. A few months later, I was like, you wanna know what? I gotta fulfill my promise and finally watch this movie for her. And man, once I finally watched it, I was like, wow, what took me so long? It was just so amazing. I actually even recommended it to my friend, and she was down for it until she realized that it was a Korean movie, and she was like, wait a minute, I don't want to read subtitles. Well, look, I think that you have to have an open mind and be willing to read subtitles, because if you don't, then you could really be missing out on a movie that's just so good. So let's move on to the review, and before we do that, I just want you all to know that it will contain spoilers, so if you have not seen it, go watch it and then come back to my review. In the beginning of the movie, the main character is immediately established as a divorced workaholic who lives with his mom. His relationship with his daughter is, let's just say, not so good. He doesn't really spend that much time with her, but you can still tell that he loves her and struggles to show just how much he appreciates her. There's this one scene in the movie that I just love so much because it perfectly shows how obsessed he is with his job. For his daughter's birthday, he buys her a Nintendo Wii and completely forgot about the fact that he had already bought her that on Children's Day. This is a wake-up call for him, and he realizes that he must do something now if he wants to get a good relationship with her. His guilt is what leads to him finally agreeing to go on a train so she could visit her mom. The action really starts to kick in once they get on the train, because that's when we finally get to see our first glimpse of a zombie. Now I know what you're probably thinking. A zombie movie and a train movie put together? Isn't that probably the most generic plot ever? I mean, we've got plenty of train movies such as Murder on the Orient Express, Source Code, and Unstoppable, and there's plenty of movies and TV shows that deal with zombies such as The Walking Dead, World War Z, and Zombieland. So what exactly is it about this movie that sets it apart from the others? Well, you know the quote that there are some movies that are plot-driven and some movies that are character-driven? For example, a plot-driven movie would be Inception and a character-driven movie would be Breakfast Club. Well, Train to Busan is a perfect example of a character-driven movie. All of the characters are just so likable. It's not the plot that makes this movie special, it's the characters. When the dad finds out that the train is filled with zombies, his main priority is to protect himself and his daughter. There's even a moment in the movie when he says, at a time like this, only watch out for yourself. This is when his daughter gets kind of angry and disappointed because she feels like he's kind of acting like an asshole. Also, she's one of the few characters in the movie who understands how important it is to help others. If anyone was thrown into this situation, they would probably share the same mentality as a dad. Train to Busan does such a great job at showing that most people would end up turning into monsters and would only look out for themselves if there was some sort of crisis going on. Later on in the movie, he meets someone who helps him come to the realization that the only way he can survive this is by working with other people. Now that we talked about all of the main characters and the protagonist of the film, let's move on to the main villain. Have you ever heard of the saying that the best villains are the ones who believe that what they're doing is right? Though that sometimes may be true, for example, Killmonger for Black Panther, it doesn't necessarily mean that's always true. Kilgrave from Jessica Jones is the perfect example of a villain who is 100% pure evil and knows that what he is doing is not right, but he continues doing it anyway. And the villain in this movie is just super selfish and doesn't really care about anyone but himself. That's why when the other characters try to get to his section of the train, he doesn't let them come in, because if there's a 1% possibility of them being infected, they can get him infected, and he's not willing to take that chance. It's kind of funny because each time you see this villain, you kind of just want to punch him in the face, and the fact that you hate his guts so much is what makes him such a good villain. Let's move away from the villain and talk about my favorite scene from the movie, and that would be the dad's death scene. Look, I've seen this movie 3 times. The first time by myself, the second time with my sister, and the third time with my mom and dad. Not gonna lie, I cried each time even though I knew how it was going to end. What made this scene so good is the fact that it really shows exactly how much this character developed throughout the movie. In the beginning, he seemed like he only cared about himself, but in the ending, he risked his life so his daughter and a pregnant woman can survive. Also, before he throws himself off the train, we see a flashback of him and his daughter when she was a baby. This makes the scene 20 times more emotional because it shows that he finally learned how to appreciate her. Towards the end of my reviews, that's when I usually talk about any problems or issues I may have had with the film, and to be honest, I didn't really have any issues with this movie. Now, I'm not saying The Train to Busan is the perfect movie, but what I will say is that it is part of my top 5 movie list. I recommend this movie to everybody because I think anybody could find entertainment in it, but I will say bring a box of tissues with you because I can't imagine anybody not crying in this movie. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more. If you didn't like the video, well, still leave a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you all later.